is he in such meanest things, where odds and ends are feeding? Good Christian, fear for sinners here, the silent word is pleading. Nail spear shall piercing through, the cross be borne for me, for you. Hail, hail, the Word made flesh, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, peasant king, to own him, the King of kings, salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthrone him. Raise, raise the song on high, the Virgin sings her lullaby. Joy, joy, for Christ is born, the babe, the Son of Mary. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him God, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Well, tomorrow is Christmas Day. Are you ready? Are all the gifts bought? Are they wrapped? What about dinner? Is the turkey thawed? Did you buy the vegetables that you needed? Is there going to be enough sweet potatoes? How about the pumpkin pie? Or is there apple pie as well? What about after dinner? Those difficult family members, are they going to get along? What if they get bored? Do you have a plan for that? Are the guest rooms ready? Are the sheets washed? Are the beds comfortable enough? And this flu bug going around, who's going to cancel now? And then the roads are terrible. With all of this talk about peace on earth, we sure bring a lot of stress into Christmas. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been asking this question, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Maybe some of you, as we've had this conversation, the internal monologue has been something along the lines of, I'm waiting for this busy, crazy season to be over. Do you have peace this Christmas? And what does that really mean anyway? Well, we've been looking at Luke 2. We saw Simeon waiting under the burden of the law, waiting for salvation from sin. We saw Anna waiting under the burden of her suffering, waiting for salvation from sorrow. And we looked at how the coming of Christ at Christmas is the answer to both of those longings. This evening, I want to go back briefly. I want to look at that song of Simeon. We passed over it fairly quickly. In that moment, in the busyness of the temple, people coming and going, Simeon found peace. His song opens with these incredible words, now you are letting your servant depart in peace. It may look a little different for each of us. But isn't that what we're all waiting for? Isn't that what we're all longing for? Peace, shalom, rest. How did Simeon find it? We want to look at this song. We'll take just a few minutes to reflect on it. Luke chapter 2, starting in verse 29. Simeon, coming into the temple, revealed to him by the Lord that he was looking upon the Messiah, scooped the baby up in his arms, and he sings this song, Lord, now you are letting your servant depart in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, that you have prepared in the presence of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles and for glory to your people Israel. First, Simeon says he has peace because he has seen the Lord's salvation. That is unavoidably, unequivocally, the central focus, meaning, purpose of the Christmas story. Mary was told by the angel, you will call his name Jesus because he will save his people from their sin. We can never lose sight of that at Christmas. That was the central thrust of what Simeon was waiting for. This sweet baby Jesus was born to die. The purpose of the cradle culminated in the cross. The underlying assumption there is that we needed saving. We need to be saved from our sin. Every one of us was born with a heart in rebellion against God. And we've lived in that rebellion, breaking his law, living the way we want to live, not according to him, not submitting to him, not worshiping him as we ought to. And for that we deserve God's justice, his judgment. We deserve death and hell. That baby that came to Mary and Joseph, announced by angels and laid in the manger, visited by shepherds and wise men, that Jesus, the one in the cutesy, precious moments nativity display, he was actually God himself come down. And he did it with the plan and the purpose of being crucified, and in that cruel death, to take on himself the wrath of God that we deserve. And notice as Simeon sings this song to the Lord, he says, I have seen your salvation. Not that God needed to be saved, but that God is the one doing the saving. It was his gracious gift. Jesus did not come to show us a way that we can fix ourselves. He did not come to forge a path whereby we could follow him. He came to rescue. He came as God's salvation given to us. That's the foundation of Simeon's peace, this peace with God. It's forgiveness of sin, guilt, removal of shame, the gracious welcome into the family of God. And so first and foremost, Simeon has peace looking at God's salvation. But secondly, there's peace in seeing God's faithfulness. His song goes on to say that this baby who is God's salvation would be a light to the Gentiles and glory to his people Israel. The light to the Gentiles, that's a quote right out of Isaiah. As we've been going through these candles, every time you've heard a promise, a prophecy, and a fulfillment. Here's another one, Isaiah 49:6 says this, I will make you as a light to the nations, that my salvation shall reach the ends of the earth. God had promised that Jesus would be this light to the ends of the earth. The Bible pictures sin and suffering and the death and pain that comes with it as darkness. Humanity is lost in darkness under this cloud of sin and death. The Messiah would come, Jesus would come as light into that darkness. He's the light of the world. And he came for revelation to the Gentiles, the Gentiles or the peoples, the nations. That was in their vernacular to say those who are far from God. Those who were in the deepest darkness, most distant, most sinful, most rebellious. Jesus came for them. To turn on the light, to reveal God's kindness, God's grace, God's salvation to those far off and in the deepest darkness. The next line of Simeon's song says that Jesus also came as glory to the people of Israel. Israel was God's chosen people. He had built them into a nation out of one man. He rescued them from Egypt. Most significantly here, it was to and through Israel that God had made all of his promises of the coming Savior. For thousands of years, they had been the keepers of the promises. Generation after generation had lived and died waiting for the Lord's salvation, waiting for what Simeon now held in his arms. The other nations had mocked them. Many, even of the Israelites, had given up waiting, didn't believe, didn't trust God. But the faithful Israelites had been trusting, hoping, longing, waiting for this day. Simeon himself, here now an old man, waiting in the temple for the promise of God. And at long last, the Savior had come. Jesus had come exactly as God had promised. Born in the line of David, born of a virgin, born in Bethlehem. He was finally here. So this is glory for the people of Israel. The coming of Jesus shows that they were right to be waiting for him, to be trusting in him. It was their vindication for thousands of years of waiting, showing that it was not foolishness, it was not nonsense. Now this fulfillment of all of God's promises, the fullness of his blessing had come to those who had waited for him. So Jesus came as this light to the Gentiles and as glory to the people of Israel. And in that, he had done exactly what he said he would do. He had fulfilled every prophecy, keeping every promise. And that's the point. Jesus came as a Savior. Jesus came to prove God's faithfulness, his truthfulness. And in seeing and knowing these two things, seeing the salvation had come, that God had been faithful, Simeon had peace. And what a peace it is. That he can say, now you are letting your servant depart in peace. Sounds beautiful, poetic. What's he actually saying? He's saying, I can die now. I can now face death. The peace that Simeon had is not a peace that removed every stressful situation. It didn't snatch him up out of his normal life. It didn't make everything else go away. That afternoon, Simeon would go back to normal life. Bills needed to be paid. The donkey's still broken down. The tension with the neighbors is still there. Even death loomed on the horizon for this old man. And yet, Simeon was ready and able to face that with this deep, abiding peace. Because the Savior had come. Because God had shown himself faithful. It wasn't over yet. In fact, in Simeon's position, Jesus had not yet died, had not yet rose again, victorious. He certainly had not brought in the fullness of his kingdom and the completion of his blessings. The promises of eternal peace and complete peace had not yet been accomplished. We still wait for it today. But in that moment, Simeon knew that if God had been faithful to bring his salvation to that point, exactly as he had promised, then he would be faithful to finish the job, exactly as he had promised. Simeon had confidence in the coming of the Savior, confidence in the faithfulness of the Lord. And that gave him peace enough to say, Lord, I have all that I need. I can face even death with serenity. I think the image of light is applicable here again. Without Jesus, we stumble in the darkness. We don't understand our world, our own lives. Things don't make sense. We grope around blindly looking for purpose, looking for security, looking for hope, looking for meaning. trying to find our way through. As we go, we stub our toes, we fall downstairs. Nothing makes sense. Everything is hard. Jesus came, and it was like turning on the light in a dark room. Show the goodness of God, the plan of God unfolding, His salvation from sin and guilt and shame and death, the promise of a new creation, life everlasting, proof of God's faithfulness, fulfilling all of God's promises that He had been making throughout the generations. And that's light in our darkness. That gives us a context to understand our own sin and our own redemption, as well as the brokenness and the suffering of our own world, the realities of sin and the curse. Once that light shines into your heart, everything else makes a little more sense. Everything else falls into place. Not that life is instantly a walk in the park. We certainly don't understand every detail. We do not understand the wisdom of God and why He often does what He does. But we know where we stand. We know where we stand before Him. We know where we stand in the unfolding of His plan. The light has shone in the darkness. God's salvation has come. His faithfulness has been shown. And He will be faithful to complete what He started. And in the light, we have peace. So here we are in the midst of the chaos of the Christmas season and the busyness of it all, to remember, to celebrate once again. The light has come. Our salvation has come. God is faithful. I can face anything with that in place. So once again, I'm going to invite you to gather around. I want you to, if you don't have a candle, our ushers are going to grab one. Don't turn them on yet. But come on up here. We're going to gather around our Advent wreath and close our service together. Come on up. Get in over here. Crowd in close. Kids, you can get right up. Some kids can file in here. Why don't you guys come in this way? Come in this way, guys. We got more people in the aisle still. We got a huge hole here. I won't be long if you want to grab your guitar.
We'll just do voice.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, John 1, starting in verse 1. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through Him. Without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Tonight we light the last candle in our wreath, the Christ candle, because with the coming of Jesus, we have light. Not only do we have the light of Christ, we light our own candles. You can go ahead and turn those on. John 8:12. Again, Jesus spoke to them saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. All those who trust in him have this light in them, the knowledge of Christ, the hope of Christ, the life of Christ. So let's close our time together singing Silent Night.